To exceed is normally to surpass what somebody thinks of. And that is now what we want to look at. We want to surpass guests' needs, what brings them basically to the establishment. So it is the process of delivering more than is expected and finding a way to wow your customers' time and again. So you deliver more than what the guest anticipated, and you find a way of impressing them during the time that they are there so that they can come back again. So a simple definition is that, and it may also entail going beyond a guest's expectation. So ways of exceeding guests' expectations are as follows. Number one, clearly communicate and deliver on brand standards and promises. So each and every hospitality establishment basically builds on its own brand. So clearly communicate on what is your brand, and the brand begins from the mission statement that you give. We will narrow it down to objective, to visions, philosophies. So many things comes after the mission statement. But remember, those are the things that talk more about you as an establishment. So once people read those things, people really know what you are up to. Number two, identify guest satisfaction objectives and key performance metrics. So that one means that you must know what are the nakuja daka moja rudi ku. So guest satisfaction objectives must be known. What basically satisfies a guest. So if it is in terms of food, it is in terms of beverage, or even now accommodation. Right now we are just exceeding what the guest expects. It must be known to the, you must know, you as an establishment, what the guest may expect. And above all, you must stipulate among all those procedures the key performance measures. Like you are going to serve the guest food, what are the key performance? What are the key things that the guest is looking up to? For example, the uniform waiter atakuwa amevaa is very important. Kama ni plate service, atakuwa analeta nini? Atakuwa na Alex, elewa hii sasa si shule. This is blended learning. I'm minimizing them, but remember, some cannot be minimized now. Another key performance metrics apart from kuangalia uniform ya waiter, kama ni plate service, tuko pia na zile reducible minimums. Inafaa kuletwa from what side, inafaa kutolewa from what side, what are the do's to a guest, what are the don'ts. So those are the key performance metrics, the do's and don'ts of something. As a waiter, you should know, so that when you move next to the guest, you know what you're supposed to do. Kama ni front office pia, you're there as a receptionist, as a guest relations personnel, you must know how to do's and don'ts, the verbal and the non-verbal cues at the front desk. Number three, another way of exceeding guest expectation is to implement strategies, tools, and processes for achieving objectives. Strategies are normally just rules or policies that are imposed in place. Make sure they are working with the tools, with the processes that help in achieving objectives. So on a day-to-day basis, be it in the restaurant, at the front office, we normally have normal day-to-day activities that are supposed to take place. Ensure that they take place. For example, the restaurant has to be mopped, it has to be arranged, equipment has to be laid, they need to be polished, etc. All those needs to be in the right direction. Number four, monitor and analyze guest feedback and presentation. So you will always have suggestion box. Whenever they are put there, you should have, maybe at the end of every day, you check on them, respond to them as required. Number 5, resolve issues as fast as quickly so that you can improve quality and service. So the other way is to resolve guest issues quickly with improvements in quality and service. The other one, share feedbacks with staff as a constructive learning tool. So the keyword is constructive learning tool. Whenever you give out feedback of what customers have said, they should help the staff to grow. You don't pin a staff down of a mistake that has been performed. Number 7, we have provide employees with training, guidelines, and leadership research objectives. I guess you know what is to train a staff. So training is not what you went at school. Remember, each and every establishment has standard operating procedures. The HR office should ensure that you get the standard operating procedures of that company, and even your boss, being the restaurant manager or the food and beverage manager, should give you the standard operating procedures of now that department where you are working from. Above all, leadership and research objectives should always be obtainable. So your boss, or you're going to become a boss in the future, be one that people can learn from. Then lastly, recognize and reward staff or positive mention and achieving objectives. So to recognize and to reward staff is something that normally happens either in terms employees, when we reward employees at the end of the year, something of the sort. So recognize good work that has been done daily basis. At the end of the week, any good thing that has been done by a specific staff needs to be recognized, and when rewards come, also reward them as required. Because they have achieved the set aims in the establishment. So that is what is basically what is guest expectation and how to exceed guest expectation. So from there we were moving to scenarios. These ones are occurrences that occur on a day-to-day basis in the establishment. What are you supposed to do? So again, this one is just purely discussions, then we come with answers on board. So question 1, let me get away how we can discuss these things, then we get to know how we are supposed to handle each and every article that we have as means exceeding customer expectation. Go in the sitting room. So, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and maybe 12. So, these ones are scenarios, and let me me just use the names the way I'm seeing. Hamilton, you will handle the first scenario. Number 2, we have Melda. Number 3, we have Helen. Number 4, we have Frida. 5, Glenn. 6, Jackie. 7, Elizabeth. And 8, Susan. So those are some of the things that are going to happen in our day-to-day activities. So how are you going to handle them? So it is just room for discussion. Your customer is frustrated about a defect in your product. Hamilton, what are you supposed to do? You as the provider, what are you supposed to do? That is the question you are answering. Melda, your guest is dissatisfied. Question number 2, with the result of your service they recently received. What are you supposed to do? Helen, number 3. Frida, number 4. We move like that mpaka number 8 venye nimejaza. Meanwhile, as we look at, as you ponder on how we are going to discuss scenarios, we move to the next subtopic that we have. So hiyo utakuja ukituambia. Nime mention names, so make sure umesikia what they are 8 questions and we are handling them as they are. Or let me do this. Let me reshuffle it again. Question 1 and 2, Hamilton. Hamilton 1 and 2. 3 and 4, Melda. 5 and 6, Helen. 7 and 8, Frida. 4 people will be tackling those scenarios and they are coming back to tell us how we handle such like things in the restaurant or in a food and beverage establishment. Meanwhile, we move to the next important thing. This is a challenging customer. A challenging customer is normally just a good customer, a normal customer. But the unique thing with challenging customers, we term them as challenging customers because they have some unique perspectives with them. Atakuja hapo hivyo penye you are selling your food and beverage, atakuuliza extra questions about it. Even some don't apply about the question he or she is asking you. Some guests always believe that they know best. Like even you are trying to lie to them. Wengine wanakuanga wakali. Wengine unamwambia hii anainunua mpaka anaenda ananunua extra. Those are the people that we normally term as challenging customers. They come but they have other things that they normally want. Some will buy, some they will just talk bad about them and they will just leave the place. So these small issues that we normally have that surround a product are what we normally term as a challenging customer when he or she comes to purchase the product. So the following are the challenging customers that we have in the hospitality industry. When they come to buy our products, we will meet them as follows. Number 1, we have a highly critical customer. We have indecisive customer. We have aggressive customer. Know-it-all. Impulsive. Talkative. Complaining. No boundaries. Demanding. Best deal. Pessimist. And they are so many. So far, I have only enumerated 11 kinds of challenging customers we meet on a day-to-day basis when they come to buy our product. But remember, they can be more. They can be more than what I have just presented. So from there, again, I move to the list of people. So the assignment again here was, who is this customer and how can you help this customer? Remember, you will be a frontline staff there. You will be at the front desk or you will be a waiter. Huyu customer amekuja is a no boundaries customer. Is a pessimist customer. So you're supposed to know who is a pessimist customer and how do we handle, or how can you help a pessimist customer to always be a repeat guest inside the establishment. Alex Kisavi. Define and help a highly critical customer. Define to us who is a highly critical customer and how we can help that customer. Ata indecisive customer. The first two ni zako, Alex Kisavi. Next, tuko na, whom didn't I mention from my previous list? I mentioned the first four. So my list continues. 1, 2, 3, 4. Glenn, aggressive and know-it-all. Aggressive and know-it-all. Glenn. After Glenn, tuko na Jacqueline, talkative and complaining. Elizabeth Mulwa, no boundaries and demanding. Susan, best deal and pessimist. So you define who is that customer. After defining who is that customer, kindly tell us how we are supposed to handle that type of customer. So nimesema the first questions, the first scenarios zilikuwa mbili. The scenarios are 2. Number 1 and 2, Hamilton. 3 and 4, Melda. 5 and 6, Helen. 7 and 8, Frida. Then nimerudi nimesema challenging customers. Number 1 and 2, Alex Kisavi. 2 and 3, Glenn. 3 and 4, Glenn. 5, 6, Jacqueline. 7, 8, Elizabeth. 9, 10, Susan. 11, Immaculate. Look for another one. So Immaculate, you will come with 2. Tafadhali leo, kama unajua microphone yako haifanyi kazi, kindly ensure that you give somebody in time so that the presentation can be done in time. Tukirudi after discussion, kindly join with microphone. Tukisha research, kindly join with microphone. Ukisha join with microphone, mute your microphone. Ndio utaweza kuongea. Usianze kusema microphone yako haifanyi kazi. Reinforcing service quality. Reinforcing service quality. So to reinforce is normally when something has gone haywire. That is when we come with the aspect of reinforcing service quality. When something has not gone as per the required standards, we come with the aspect of reinforcing service quality. And also at times, We reinforce so that we can maintain the required standards. So quality will be there, but we reinforce so that we can achieve the required standards. So there are two measures a service organization should take to achieve customer loyalty and reinforce all its quality measures. So we reinforce service quality using service recovery and service guarantee. A service recovery is when something has gone haywire, it has gone the wrong way. So maybe you are going to serve the guest, ukafika ukienda kuweka hiyo chakula ikamwagika yote. You're supposed to recover that service as fast as possible. Those are the things we want to look at. Then a guarantee ni ile wakati kitu imeharibika kabisa sasa. So maybe utataka umpunguzie bei ama umpatie ya bure etc. So we want to look when something go haywire in the hospitality industry, it has not gone as per the standards operating procedures we are being offered and taught on a day-to-day basis. What are you supposed to do? If it is a service recovery, kitu imeenda mrama kidogo na unaweza rekebisha, resolve the problem quickly so that the customer can become satisfied. You will be able to win the customers very fast. So when something goes wrong, the first thing is to resolve the problem as fast as possible so that you can get back and win back the customers. Complaints should be treated as fast as possible for the customer to remain loyal to you. Preparing for service recovery. So ways of recovering service: number one, measure costs. So service failures have costs to both a customer and the hospitality organization. The organization must give a refund or a repeat service, and the extreme end face a lawsuit or the punitive damages. The permanent loss can occur to the customer, but the establishment should always be at the understanding age. So that one means that if something goes wrong, rule number one, you need to measure costs. Like you need to understand both sides between the establishment and the customer, who has lost it totally. And then you look for the ways of how you can reinstate the service. Don't be so hard on the customer that hata kama ni wewe umemwaga chai, you have to pay for it and bring another one. Accidents do occur, and be at somebody's shoes. That is the aspect of understanding to a customer. Number two, break the silence and listen closely to complaints. That means complaints will always be there. Don't ignore that they are not there. Listen to them and handle them as they occur, step by step, as fast as possible, and if possible, generate feedbacks on the problems that occur. Number three, anticipate the needs for recovery. When you anticipate the needs for recovery, you are always somebody who is empathetic. Something has happened to a guest, you feel it, and you should be ready to help. So hapo inasema managers who understand the service and its delivery system can anticipate where failures occur and make plans for recovery. So be a boss who is empathetic. You feel what basically has happened and assist where possible. Number four, another way of preparing for service recovery is speed. It's very important. Be somebody with high speed so that you can help the customer as required. Another way of preparing for service recovery is training of employees. Remember, you have been trained now at Zetech University, but when you go to Serena, Sarova, Policy ready. You must be trained for their SOPs, standard operating procedures. So you will begin with the HR. The HR will tell you the rules of the organization. Then now you will be now moved to the food and beverage section where now you want to continue. In training, you learn how to communicate. Through training, you become innovative. Through training, you are always good at decision making, etc. So training ndio inafanya unaelewa the do's and don'ts of an establishment. That is communication. They tell you what they expect of you, what you are supposed to do, and you ask questions where appropriate. It is also through training that you become innovative. Kuwa innovative ni kuwa mtu creative. Ukishaambiwa what the company expects from you, remember, human being is a creative thinker. You can now become creative in the right way and assist the establishment where applicable. Remember, mgeni akicomplain, huwa imaanishi unakimbia tu kuita restaurant manager. There are some things you can also solve at the level of a waiter. Also, training can also help you in decision-making processes without calling your boss and things of the rest of the like. Then we have another way of preparing service recovery is through empowering the frontline staff. Hii ndio chenye tulidiscuss tu last week. Who is a frontline staff and how to empower a frontline staff with enough information. Hiyo sasa sitarudia. Then the last one is disasters can be turned into loyal customers by offering a proper and rapid service recovery process. So that one is also another way of preparing for service recovery. You deal with problems as fast as possible, and the customer will be satisfied of how fast you've helped him, and he or she will
you maybe find that next idea. So, you've done the don't rush challenge. That's how I balance challenge. Challenge. Solo che danzi. Participants is advised.
Eunice, so stima zilienda na laptop bado ina charge. I had a class in the morning, so moto ilikuwa imepungua kabisa, but imerudi. Good luck. So I was talking about how we do service methods of doing service recovery, and I was in the last one where I talked about disasters should be dealt with as fast as possible so that we can win back the customers. So frontline staff are very important in the establishment because they are the people who communicate what is right to the customers as fast as possible when problems occur. So it is very important that we also keep frontline employees at bay with emerging trends and factors so that when customers ask about problems, they can also be answerable in the right manner on behalf of the establishment. Approaches to service recovery. Number one, we have case by case, where you deal with each and every problem, customer after customer, each customer individually. The next way how we deal with service recovery is a systematic process where we will use again some rules are normally put in place to handle complaints, but needs no prior identification of critical failures and continuous updating. So you normally find that in the systematic response, we normally have a specific group of people or department that handles complaint. Now it will not be the frontline staff, but it will be a specific department in charge of complaints, and they will handle them regardless of anything. So long as you just air in your problem, you will be assisted where appropriate. The third way how we do service recovery is early intervention. And early intervention is just from the word early intervention. That means you see the problem before it occurs. You must be somebody who can identify hazards or accident, then look for means of how they can be prevented. Then lastly is substitute service, where it allows rival firm to provide the service that could have been offered to the customer. So that means now you as a hospitality establishment kama Hamilton, now you are now completely incapacitated to offer the service. So we will be forced to talk to Melda to give the guest the service. Hiyo inaitwa substitute service, where the major firm is incapacitated. You're not in a position to offer the service. So you look for your sister to assist you, your sister hotel to assist you, Melda, for example, to help the guest in offering them services. So those are the 4 approaches we use when it comes to service recovery: case by case, systematic response, early intervention, and substitute service. Case by case, one customer after the other, una handle their problems. Systematic response, you normally have a department set aside for the purpose of solving problems. They will not go systematically, but any problem that comes on board, they will handle it. Then you have early intervention, where you see the problem coming and you block it from occurring so that it does not affect the customer. Then lastly is the substitute method, whereby if you are incapacitated to do the work, you are not in a position to do the work, you give your rival sister who is in the same business with you to assist you in the service process. Then the second way of doing service recovery is the guarantee method. And remember, a guarantee one is like a form of offer you give somebody after a failure. So most guarantees normally come in form of monetary values. So utamreducia the amount of money of purchasing that thing, remember, and it will cost you on the other side, because in the hospitality industry, you must know how to calculate the buying price. So when you give a discount of the buying process, remember you are also reducing margin. So notes inasema another way to improve quality image of an organization is to offer service guarantees, and they are normally conditional ones. Most of them have financial consequences to the hospitality organization if they do not deliver as promised. The forces one to focus on the customer, set clear standards, and guarantee feedback. It also helps to understand where you fail. It builds marketing muscle and plays a role of an equalizer and helps the organization demonstrate its fairness. So those are the major reasons why people do guarantees, to focus on the customer so that you can know what the customer wants. You also do guarantee to set clear standards of the establishment so that a customer can understand what you are up to, what you are doing. It enables you know why you are failing in the market. Mbona mpati customers yet you are overworking? If you do a guarantee, you know a customer can tell you, by the way, we hate this your yogurt because of too much fermentation. We like this milk of yours because it is skimmed. So that is why hospitality organizations can go for guarantees, because you now give a guest a specific thing, then the guest can evaluate whatever you have given him or her. But remember, most guarantees have financial consequences, because when you reduce the buying price of something, profits reduce, where now you will be forced to work at break even or even below the break even point. So I have finished my part. So it is 12:07. Let us work with 20 minutes. Like, let me say at 12:20 on the dot. I hope my internet will not misbehave now. At 12:20
Madam,
on the dot.
excuse
Let
me,
us be.
madam.
Eunice kwanza naongea. Nasema nimemaliza ndio unakam. So with those few minutes that I have put, au watu wenye nimetaja majina yenu, come with those answers as fast as possible. Everybody was tackling two questions. Be very fast and come back with those answers after 20 minutes. Eunice, you can now speak.